Welcome to AMTV. And now, something a little different for the channel, an album review from one of the world's biggest influencers.
Hi there guys, it's Martyn here, and it's something a little different today. Now, for those of you who might be aware, KSI, one of the UK's biggest, if not the biggest YouTuber, has recently released his debut album, Dissimulation. It's out now, it's on Spotify, it's on all those sort of streaming platforms. And you know what? When he announced he was having an album out, I got pretty excited. A lot of you might not know I've been a KSI fan for a very long time. I've been watching since 2011, 2012. I've been there through the whole music career. I've been there through Lamborghini, Keep Up, FWB, the diss track phase, all of it, man, all of it. And I've been really interested to see his career progress. And I actually saw KSI live in November of 2016 in Liverpool, and that was a pretty good night, to be fair. So fair to say, when Dissimulation was announced, I was pretty hyped. But now that it's come out, has it lived up to the hype, or is it just a bit of a disappointment? Well, to look at that, I'm going to take a look through the album on a track-by-track basis. I'm actually going to go with the singles released first, because I think that gives a more accurate picture of a timeline. So with that, we will start with the first single from this album, which was Down Like That, which is KSI featuring SX, Lil Baby, and Rick Ross. And this obviously came out around the time of the second Logan Paul fight. So as KSI said on numerous occasions, it was kind of important that he won based on this song. But you know what? When this song came out, I wasn't really that much of a fan. I didn't think it was that good. But the more I've heard it as time's gone on, I do actually think it kind of slaps. I'll give Down Like That a big pass. And also it charted here in the UK. It made number 10, I think. Which, you know, for a YouTuber, for an influencer to chart that highly on the UK singles chart, that's making big waves, so fair play, man, fair play. The next single that came out was, of course, Wake Up Call, which was KSI featuring Trippie Redd. I've got to admit, this one didn't grow on me. I admire the fact that he changed up the beat. It was something a bit more like chill, a bit more positive, a bit more just like bouncy, almost like pop rap, if you like. But I don't know, man, I just don't think it necessarily works, not for his rapping style or for like the organization of the song, how it was compiled, the beats produced, but you know, that's just subjective opinion. But still, Wake Up Call did really well. It made number 13 here in the UK. I saw his appearance on Comic Relief. You should go and check that out. It's a little awkward because everyone's finding it a bit hard to like get bouncing, but for what it's worth, you know, fair play, JJ. The next single was, of course, Poppin', which was highly controversial, I guess, amongst us here on the YouTube scene. So a lot of people straight away didn't like Poppin'. They didn't like the beat, they didn't like the flow, they didn't like the appearances on it. So just to clarify, that was Lil Pump and Smoke Perp. I mean, with those sorts of rappers, you either love them or you hate them. And I guess if you hated them, you're probably going to hate Poppin' as well. Personally, I think the beat for Poppin' is really good. The beat does slap. The verses from all three artists, again, doesn't really do it for me, I'm afraid. I'm not sure what it is, because the beat's all set up for it to absolutely smash, but there's just nothing about Poppin' that really, like, smashes things out of the park. I've seen KSI do better. I think with that kind of beat, he could have used even more of that aggressive style that he's shown on some of his other songs, like Little Boy, the diss track, for example, to really, like, smash it out of the park. But that just didn't happen, but that's fair. In the UK, I think it charted on the lower end of the top 40, but, you know, still charted, so that's fair. And then the next main single, the biggest main single so far, of course, was Houdini, featuring Swerves and Tion Wayne. Now that song reached number 6 in the UK chart, the highest place I think a UK influencer has charted. So, I mean, 2 top 10 singles off your debut album. That's pretty good. Houdini absolutely slaps. It's a great song, great hook, great beat. Loving the chorus, loving the verses as well. Hearing a bit of JJ's Jamaican Babatunde accent, if you like. No, I honestly thought it was a really good track. Probably one of the best on the album. Is it the best though? Well, we're going to have to find out as we go track by track, aren't we? So those were the singles. So the first song on the album track list is What You've Been On. It's quite a short track. In terms of getting you ready for the full album, I'd say it does its job. Again, I'd argue it's nothing like groundbreaking. It's nothing that you're going to go, oh my god, I've never heard that before. But it's just enough of a teaser to get you excited for what's to come. The next song on here is Cap feat. Offset. Now, this song was trailered recently. I think this is actually going to be the next single, or with the next video anyway. And you know what? It's decent. Is it as good as like Houdini? No. It's sort of, it's alright. The chorus is good. The verses I feel are going to take a bit of time to grow on me. The first time I heard it when I played it just after midnight, I didn't really vibe it, but you know what, the more I'm listening to it, the more it's there, the more it's there. Next up you have one of the biggest surprises for me on the album, which is Bad Lil Vibe featuring Jeremiah. Now, again, when I first heard it, didn't vibe with it that much. However, the second time hearing it, I've got to say it was probably one of the biggest surprises on the album. For as short of a length as it is, you hear more of like the auto-tune stuff that JJ goes for when he sings. And I get it, a lot of rappers use that because if they can't necessarily sing that well, then it makes sense that you'd use the auto-tune thing. And the auto-tune thing is really present throughout this entire album. I'll get more into that a bit later, but this track actually benefits from it a little, and Jeremiah's feature is also pretty good. So Bad Lil Vibe was probably one of the biggest surprises for me. Next up we have How It Feel. Yeah, I've got to be honest, I didn't like How It Feel. I think this is the worst example of how the auto-tune's used. It just doesn't sound nice to the ears. It's not a pleasant listen. The song I didn't really connect with in any way. So yeah, bit of a stinker, I'm afraid. So moving past all the singles, of course, the next song you've got is Killer Killer feat. Ayana Lee. Ayana Lee's vocals are great. They're really nice, really smooth, really slick. Big fan of that. The actual song, again, I'd argue kind of forgettable. I think this is presenting a running theme throughout the Dissimulation album, which I will talk about more at the end, but yeah, it's a bit forgettable for me. Then you had Domain, which JJ himself has sort of said I think it's his favourite song on the album. This song is like a pounder, man. The beats are hard, the verses go in. The chorus, I wish he didn't repeat it twice. The sort of like rhythm of the song as well, I think it's a little basic. The it just comes across as a bit sluggish in my opinion. But the actual song itself, the beats, the verses, big tunes, big tunes. I hope after Cap, if he's going to release another single off the album, I hope it's Domain, because I think a video for that would do really well as well. So after Down Like That on the track list, you have Undefeated, which again is like, it's okay, but out of all the tracks, it's probably one of the most forgettable on the album, I'm afraid. Again, like the auto-tuning is present as well. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I will talk about more of this after we look at the last song, which is Millions. Now, Millions is a very personal track. I remember JJ, I think, said in one of his One Question Go videos that it's a very personal track. And as soon as you hear the lyrics, yes, it is really personal. Here is an influencer who has got over 20 million subs, has been doing this for over 10 years. And he's admitted himself, if you watch Joe Weller's podcast, he talks about it, how he struggles to sort of open up, or he chooses not to open up about his anxieties, his fears, which is fair enough. We can all choose whether we want to do that or not. So in this song, for him to actually talk about something really personal, I really dug it. I thought it was a really nice way to conclude the album with a real slice of like what JJ's been through personally as a person, never mind just a YouTuber or an influencer or someone who's famous. The only criticism I'd have, the production on that song on Millions is probably one of the most like minimalist of the entire album. I would have loved it if they'd stripped it back even further, just made it really simple, because as much as I love like pounding beats, good flows and stuff, if they just made it really minimal but kept the intensity that JJ delivers the verses with, I think that could have been a song that would have been really powerful. And it is really special in a way, because I guess we've never heard KSI rap like this. So, great way to close the album. It's a winner for me, and I hope maybe that gets to be a single too, or gets talked about, because the fact is, influencers, big influencers, I'm not talking about, people like me, but, well, people in general, people find it tough to open up about their anxieties and their fears, and some people choose to do it through song, which is what JJ's done on the Millions track. So definitely listen to Millions. And that is the album. I know there's a deluxe edition with a few more bonus tracks. I don't have that, so I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, what are the negatives about Dissimulation? Again, all of this is personal preference, but for me, one of the big things is the auto-tune throughout. Now again, I know it's used as a device. Lots of artists, lots of rappers use auto-tune, but for me, it's just on this album way, way too much. When JJ is rapping, when he's just like spitting bars without using any autotune, it's really good. The flow's there, he's grown over the past few years tremendously. But when the autotune comes in, on songs like Bad Little Vibe it works, but then on songs like How It Feel, it's just nasty, to put it bluntly. It doesn't sound appealing to the ears. It's like, yes, I know someone like T-Pain, for example. Remember T-Pain? He used autotune a lot. Would I listen to singles by T-Pain? Absolutely. Like Church and all that sort of stuff. Absolute bombing songs, mate. Like KSI singles, Houdini, Down Like That. Yeah, I'll listen to it. But a whole album of autotune? No, not really. Like, when I listen to this album again, I'm gonna miss some tracks out. Like, I'm gonna skip some stuff, definitely. And again, that's just my opinion, but autotune throughout just doesn't do it for me. Also, this is more of like a criticism, but I guess not in a bad way. But like that song like Millions, which is more personal. I think if we heard a bit more of that from JJ, it would really progress his artistry as well. His artistry's progressed tremendously from like 2015, from the Lamborghini days. Lamborghini is still God tier. There, I said it. But he has progressed tremendously over the years, and I just think if we get more of that, like, what he's been through, it's a lot more powerful. As much as you might joke about this, the diss track season, right? Obviously that was all about people talking personal and about their feelings about different people or things about them, etc. Stuff like that I find a lot more powerful and impactful than talking about, oh, we're gonna go drink and get girls and stuff. I mean, those songs have a place, of course they do, in like the clubs for dancing and stuff. But if I'm just listening to an album, I'd love to hear more of that, like, that inner thought, so to speak. But what are the positives about Dissimulation? Well, the singles, for the most part, absolutely slap. Like, they're done what they're designed to do. You know, Houdini and Houdini and Down Like That going top 10, Wake Up Call going top 20, even Poppin' getting in the lower regions of the top 40. Like, this man is charting in a big way. And I can't stand it when people like Logan Paul go on his podcast and say stuff like this.
JJ's music career, it ain't going anywhere.
Wait, he's charting. He's the first influencer
in the
to
UK.
chart.
In the UK.
No.
He's charting, but in the UK. What does that mean, fam? What does that mean? Not only are you implying that you're slagging off the UK charting system, the UK charts are just as important as the US charts. I know British artists who want to make it worldwide often feel, right, we've got to go to America first, but just think like the UK charts, but you've also got the European charts around European territories, but no, we'll just forget about them. It's so single-minded to think, oh, if you're not charting in the US, you're not doing it big. Absolutely not, fam. Some of the most successful artists in the world dominate the British charts. Absolutely. I know I'm a big fan of them, and some of you guys might not be aware, but the Pet Shop Boys, right, who are a music duo, started in the 1980s, very British, had a few hits in America, but they've always sort of been like a cult thing there, but they've done really well over here in the past 35 plus years. They are the most successful British music duo that has ever existed. Let that sink in terms of sales, success. They are the best. Did they have big fame in America? No. The big success was in the UK and Europe. KSI is achieving that. He's getting those charting singles. He's doing well across the territory. It doesn't matter that he's not necessarily charting in the US. So anyone who's like, oh, well, it's not a success. Dissimulation from a singles point of view is a success. Absolutely. There are artists right now in mainstream pop who are not charting anywhere close to what JJ's charting right now. So big success on the singles. What I will say is, I think this album has too many album tracks. So tracks on the album that are there, you know, that they're not destined to be singles because they don't slap hard enough. I think if I've made an album, I'm not a rapper or anything like that, but if I was making an album, I'd try and write with the intention of every single song being a single. Would that happen? Probably not. It just seems like some of these songs are just like thrown in, or they're just a bit, like how it feel. I keep dogging on it, but honestly, it's just not a vibey song. So is it a disappointment? Yes and no. I'm disappointed that, when the singles came out, right, I knew they would do well. They slapped. That was what they were there for. I was hoping with the other tracks we'd get to see a different side to JJ, and in some cases we did, like with Millions. But a lot of it is just rinse, repeat, but without the power. That's my opinion. I'd say it's a slight disappointment, but overall I'm happy he's got this album out. I'm happy the singles have charted. I hope we get a second album, and if we do get a second album, all I'll say is, KSI, you're probably not watching this, but in the chance that you are, don't be afraid, man, to go with some of that more personal stuff. I know, obviously, it's your business. You don't have to disclose anything to the public, but honestly, man, songs like Millions, when you open up and sort of talk about it, not only is that, like, powerful in the sense of a track, but it's also inspiring, not just to other influencers, but to other people, that if someone like you, someone on the top of success, can talk about things in that way, it might inspire other people to do the same. So it's up to you, man, but if you do a second album, give it more of that inner thought, and it'll absolutely slap. But yeah, those are my thoughts on KSI Dissimulation. Sorry if that was a bit of a long video. I know it's a bit different to what I normally do, but as I said, I've been a fan of KSI for many, many years now, and I just wanted to talk about this album, what it means to the community, how it succeeds, how it doesn't succeed, and hopefully where KSI can take it from there. Thank you for sticking to the end of this video. If you got there, please leave a like on it. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about Dissimulation? What's your favourite track on Dissimulation? That's what I want to know first. 2, do you think Dissimulation is a success or a failure? And 3, If KSI releases another album, what sort of direction do you want it to take? Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We're on the road to 10k. Hopefully we'll get there before the end of June. And until the next one, I'll see you guys next time.
Well, that does bring us to a close this evening on AMTV. We do hope you enjoyed the programme, and please do keep your eyes open for brand new content that will be coming to you soon. Until then, have a very good week, and we hope that you join us again soon. Good night.